So when I was in elementary school, my grandma taught me how to knit, but she taught me how to knit right-handedly. My grandma and I both are left-handed, but she just taught me how to do it right-handedly because probably she only knew how to do it right-handedly. And recently I've just been thinking, I'm left-handed, I'm still not experienced enough to really be dead set on knitting right-handedly. Why not see if I can learn how to knit left-handed? So today I have some cotton yarn, some 5mm needles, and a tutorial by Noble Knits to teach me how to knit left-handedly. In this video I'm going to be attempting to learn how to cast on, knit, purl, and maybe even bind off. I don't think the more intricate things like increasing, decreasing, or cabling even, or lace work will be a good thing to try out. So let's start with casting on, knitting, purling, and binding off. So I'm just going to be watching the tutorial and updating you on how it's going. So let's get started. Okay, so I just cast on 10 stitches and we did the backwards loop or the thumb method, which I think is the easiest. It's already difficult to grasp doing the things with a different hand than I'm used to doing, because with the left-handed way you obviously have the yarn on your right hand, but I'm used to doing it with my left hand. So that's already pretty difficult. I'm just really curious how knitting is going to be. I think this is going to be mind-blowing to me. Yeah, I have 10 stitches on the needles and let's see how I knit them. Alright, so I'm halfway there. I did 5 out of 10 stitches. Yeah, this is way more confusing to me than I had thought it would have been, because I find it quite hard to tension the yarn. So I'm inserting the needle, I'm flipping it around, but then I need to hold this while also holding. It's just the hassle to get all the I keep pushing all my stitches so that they don't fly off, because for some reason with my left hand I cannot tension the yarn. So you see that all my stitches are just loose here. So yeah, I insert the needle, I wrap the yarn around, and then I have to hold it while using my finger to push the needle like that, and then I need to use this finger to push it off of the other needle, which is, if I do it in my right hand, will that does make it easier, I guess, but now I'm confused, because this is how I tension my yarn with, I don't know if you can see it, but this is how I tension my yarn with my right hand usually when I knit right-handedly. And then clockwise, and I slide it off. This makes it a bit easier, maybe. Like you can clearly see where I just did my own thing here. This gap, all this is doing it the tutorial way and this is doing it my way. And you can see that this is just very loosey-goosey and this is also loose because I'm using cotton yarn on metal needles, but it does sit a bit more tight. But I don't know, let's practice basically and see what else Noble Knits has to say, because I'm only 5 minutes into a 18 minutes tutorial, so we'll see. Okay, so second row done, and I feel like I've already kind of made up my own rules with it. Just tensioning my yarn with my right hand because that's what I'm used to. And I have tried to knit continentally and right-handedly, but with that I also could not find a way to tension my yarn with my left hand. So I think my right hand is just the hand I need to use to tension the yarn, which is alright, which is fine, but I think it's just how my hands work. So I did 2 rows of knitting now, and I think I'm going to practice a bit more and then see if I can teach myself how to purl in a bit. This might sound crazy, but I'm 4 rows in and it feels quite natural now. Especially now that I've found a way to tension the yarn and to knit without feeling like I'm slipping everywhere. It does feel quite natural. Not as natural as knitting right-handedly currently does, but yeah, it does feel alright. I still have to look at the stitches because knitting right-handedly I can just do without even looking, but this requires a bit more of my attention. But I'm 4 rows in and this already, I don't really have to think about the proper steps anymore. I just do them, which is a huge improvement from whatever I did in the first round or the first row. I don't know, but I don't think this will be my preferred way of knitting going forward, especially when all the patterns are written for right-handed knitters. And I watched Knee Knits, I watch her a lot, and in one of her recent podcasts she talked about knitting the Moby sweater and then that just all being mirrored for her because of all the charts that she had to flip around because she's knitting left-handedly. You're knitting from right to left instead of knitting from left to right. Yeah, that way. So she talked about that being a bit difficult to adapt patterns to that, and I'm like, if I know how to knit right-handedly, why wouldn't I just make life a whole lot easier for myself? And I don't particularly think that this is a easier feeling on my hands than knitting right-handedly. It's not like this is more natural to me, it's just as natural way of knitting because you do use both hands. Maybe I can try to crochet left-handed, but because I cannot crochet yet, so I have to learn that skill from scratch. So why not teach myself how to do that left-handedly, because you only have one hook, so you only have a hook in one hand. So why not try and see if I can do that with my left hand instead of my right hand. I don't know. Just a thought that I came up with a few seconds ago, and yeah. But this does feel quite good for me. I'm not really thinking about it anymore. I'm able to talk to you, not at my regular speed. Absolutely not. I don't have many more thoughts than I cannot knit and talk at the same proportions as I can with knitting right-handedly, but I can knit and talk, which is something, I suppose. This very much feels more natural to me than knitting continentally, for sure. I have attempted that and I can do it, but it requires so much more attention for me. And this, I feel like I'm just doing this at the speed of, well, a little less than the speed of knitting right-handedly, but I don't think there's a lot of difference there. Maybe because I'm tensioning yarn in my right hand while I'm knitting left-handedly. This is what you would call continentally knitting for left-handed people. I don't know, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, this does seem to go better than I thought. This is a roller coaster of emotions here. I don't know, but we're doing good. We're doing pretty good. Let me finish this row. Yeah. So now I've knit this, and it's definitely not super square. Does go in a bit. I don't know what happened. I'm just finding my gauge. But I do think this is nicely tensioned. I guess maybe by blocking this will all block out, I don't know. But let's now see if I can teach myself how to purl, because I'm not comfortable with knitting, so let's make this more complicated on myself, shall we? Okay, that was my first row of purling. That was a whole lot. I'm again tension. Just tensioning the yarn is pretty freaking impossible. I'll just knit around so that we can just do a stockinette stitch kind of thing. Let me figure out how to knit for a second. Yeah, got it. Yeah, tensioning yarn is hard because everything's just slipping, and I feel like I'm missing something like a hook or something to just grab this yarn with, which basically is crochet. I just need one of these needles to be a crochet hook, basically, just to grab the yarn and not have it go everywhere, which is what's currently happening. Because I need to pull the yarn through the stitch, but I'm really bad at that because the yarn does not want to sit on the needle or to be caught by the needle. It's just slipping and sliding everywhere. So that's a hassle. That's something I really do not enjoy. But maybe it's just practice. Or maybe it's just me not being able to purl because I couldn't figure out how to purl consistently either. But this is what the 3 rows of stockinette look like right now. Yeah, you can clearly see the purl row, or you can clearly see that I did purl these stitches, or that they just, I feel like I twisted some stitches there, or it's just not as even as I would have liked, but it doesn't look too bad. It does not look too bad, but with purling, I am doing it English style girly, like inserting my needle, wrapping it around, and just holding on for dear life while I slip it out of there and let it, no wait, this is, no, I've accidentally increased the stitch. How do I do this again? I insert a needle, wrap it around, hold on for dear life while I scoop it out and let go. Yeah, that was a purl stitch. See, it's just a lot of wrapping, holding on, like I'm pulling very tightly on it just so that I do not lose the yarn, but I don't think I'm doing too great. I'm currently holding my needle like this so that I can grab the stitch with this, scoop it out, then move this upwards like that. I don't think you're supposed to hold a knitting needle like this. It's not going great because I cannot, for the love of me, figure out how to tension yarn with my left hand. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly, but we're doing pretty okay, I think. This might just need some getting used to. So I'll practice my stockinette stitch for a bit and I'll catch up with you later. Yeah, I'm going to take some time, so bear with me. Watch a little montage of me trying to figure this out. And I'll see you guys in a bit, because this needs improvement. Like, I know I'm not going to be a star at knitting left-handed immediately, but this is ridiculous. This is not even feeling more natural than knitting right-handedly. Wait, I might have an idea though. I might have an idea. Let me cut to that real quick. I'll do a purl row, knit row, and then I'll try something out, because maybe I can knit left-handedly and purl right-handedly and make that work. Maybe I just found a loophole. Maybe I'm just being ridiculous right now, but the least I can do is try. Because I do like knitting left-handedly, but I do not love purling right-handedly. Yeah, I think I'm twisting stitches here. But oh well, let me try that out and I'll come back to you whenever I have the results. Okay, call me crazy, but I might have just found a way to never switch needles again when knitting flat. I'm knitting left-handedly, so I'll hold the yarn in this hand, then I'll just knit left-handedly, like, wait. Of course, I'm currently unable to knit. I just knit left-handedly. Give me a second. Because my plan was to knit left-handedly and then the other way I just purl using the right-handed technique. But then I figured something out. So I now knit left-handedly. Stitches are on my left needle, and when it's facing me, is like this. This is how it's facing me currently, which if you hold this in your left hand, this is how you're usually when you start a row while knitting right-handedly. When you start a row like this, it is a knit row. But the stitches are all like twisted-ish. So if I knit through the back loop on my way back and just knit 10 stitches like that. See, I didn't change the needles that were in my hand. I didn't swap them around, I didn't do anything. I just knit them back and forth without changing the yarn around. See, I just knit through the back loop and it's on this hand. So now I can immediately start knitting the left-handed way. So I can just do stockinette without having to swap around, which I don't know if this is something that everybody knew or just if it's common sense to do this, but wow. Like with knitting flat, I always hate that I have to swap the needles around whenever I want to start a new row. But this just eliminates all that, which is crazy. See, and now it's in my left hand, so I can knit, especially with my weird technique of always holding my yarn like this in my right hand when I'm knitting, no matter if I'm knitting left-handed or right-handed. This is perfect. This is just, I wanted to say this is saving so much time, but it's really not, because the only thing I have to do is just this and then I'm ready to go. But obviously my tension is still a bit off because I'm knitting left-handed for the first time and I've probably like twisted a few stitches and the edges are not looking so nice, but this is quite alright fabric. Like, come on, am I the only one who's just figuring this out right now, or did I maybe do something here? It's what? Well, forget purling when knitting left-handed. This is wild. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pause on the purling for now because it's really not going great. And this revelation has kind of, like, not freaked me out, but has left me speechless, basically. Let me say that. I'm speechless now. So that's great. Last thing I wanted to learn today was to bind off. And I'm still pretty interested in how to bind off when knitting left-handedly. So let me figure that out. I'll hold the yarn like this and we'll bind off using the left-handed technique. And then I think that's it for this video because I'm just, what? I don't know if I just made a discovery or if it's common knowledge or what the heck's going on here? But I'm binding off, and that's enough knitting left-handed for today, I think. So let's figure out how to do this. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. I just bound off. I still have one stitch on the needles because I don't have scissors on me right now. But the bind off looks pretty average. We just did the knitting two and then putting the loop over and then knit another, put the loop over. So that wasn't too mind-boggling for me. Yeah, this is my first ever swatch or tryout of knitting left-handedly, and I'd say it's pretty good success. Still, the purling I need to work on for sure. So yeah, I'll work on my purling, but with a loophole I found, I won't need to purl if I'm doing stockinette. If I'm doing some weird design thing with like knit some pearls or ribbing or whatever, I will have to learn how to purl, but that's for a different day. For now, I'm just going to find out if someone else has made this discovery or how this is, if this is common knowledge or anything. But for now, this is my little swatch of knitting left-handedly. And yeah, thank you for coming along on this journey. Thank you for watching up to this point. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you knit left-handedly or right-handedly, or if you are left or right-handed, which I think I'd like to see both information so that I know if I'm the only one who's left-handed but who knits right-handedly, or if most people do this. Because in my experience, most people knit right-handedly even if they are left-handed. So I don't know, but I'm pretty curious to learn how you knit. If you knit left-handedly, right-handedly, if you are left or right-handed, and if you knit continental or English style, just let me know your knitting style basically. And I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye!